Welcome back, everyone. They just released The Boys Season 3 teaser trailer, so we'll break it all down. There's a whole bunch of new characters and a bunch of Easter eggs, so if you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get them all. Obviously, they say they're dropping June 3rd, but the tagline for the trailer is, "Payback is coming," and even though they want you to be focused on Homelander having a full mental breakdown in this scene, like the flash of the camera over and over is somehow going to trigger him into doing something crazy, the Payback tagline is a reference to a couple different things, actually a bunch of different things. So in this scene, they want you to think that Homelander is planning on getting payback against the boys for what they did against him, what Starlight did, because she's here with him in this press conference that they're doing, and everyone else, like the entire human race, because he's completely lost his mind. If it wasn't clear, this scene is meant to be happening after the news conference at the end of Season 2 when they were throwing Stormfront under the bus for all the bad stuff that had happened. Like, oh yeah, Stormfront, she did that all by herself. Screaming, "I can do whatever I want," just completely nuts. Like, okay, he's lost it, that's it, he's gone, he's totally crazy. Everyone hide your kids, hide your wife. But the reason why it's just him and Starlight in this news conference here is because they're hyping them up as the new public faces of the next roster of the Seven team. Because they're bringing in fresh meat to join the team in the form of Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy. Because the whole thing in Season 2 is that they brought in Stormfront and made her a member of the team. Now they're doing the same thing with Jensen Ackles because they lost Stormfront. I love how Ashley looks like she's about to crap her pants, like she's watching Homelander expecting him to do something. She had it so bad in Season 2, that was why her hair started falling out from the stress. She's kind of like Meg from Family Guy. She's kind of there to be the punching bag of all the people on the Seven. Like everybody kind of soft abuses her, not just Homelander, but all the other characters too. But the payback term is also meant to be a reference to the payback team from the comics, which itself is a reference to the Avengers from the Marvel Universe. Everybody talks about the boys having lots of DC Easter eggs because the Seven are meant to be a parody of the Justice League. And Homelander is meant to be like an evil Superman. But a lot of the characters from the boys' comics are also parodies of Marvel teams and other characters too. Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy will be the leader of the Payback team when he shows up in Episode 1. And the title of Episode 1 is literally Payback. This is what his superhero costume is going to look like. They made some changes from his character in the comics, and what they've done is give him more of a militaristic looking green armor suit, like military green. And they've combined the two different versions of Soldier Boy from the comics. On the show, they're hyping him up as the original superhero, even though that's just Vought's fake backstory for him, because we know that Stormfront is actually the very first superhero in the world. But in the comics, the original Soldier Boy is a straight-up Captain America parody, if you couldn't tell. During World War II, he was America's first attempt at their own superhero with their own version of Compound V formula. But the parody aspect of his character was that unlike Captain America, he was a terrible superhero and a terrible soldier. He got his entire squad killed because of his incompetence. In the original Boys comics, everything is taking place much earlier in the timeline, so like the war that they say Soldier Boy came from might be a little bit different. Like they might still say World War II, or they might say that Jensen Ackles' version is just the grandson of the original Soldier Boy. That might be part of his fake backstory that Vought tells everyone. But in the comics, there's also a version in present day called Soldier Boy 2, who just basically uses the name, and he's like a brand new Compound V superhero, who's also just as incompetent as the original version was, but he leads the Payback team. The other major difference with Jensen Ackles' version is that he's not going to be like this bumbling idiot version of the character. He's going to be way more badass, and he's meant to be more of a foil for Homelander. Now, Soldier Boy isn't nearly as powerful as Homelander, but he's super popular and he knows how to work the crowd, which is basically Homelander's main weakness. The idea that he needs people to love him. He is thirsty for everyone's attention. So the smart way that everybody's been trying to fight him, especially at the end of Season 2, is by using that against him. Like, you're not going to beat him in a physical one-on-one fight, so you have to beat him in a psychological fight. Milk is kind of his kryptonite, so you could also use some sort of milk-based plot too. But the other idea with the whole payback notion is the idea that everybody on the show, every main character, every different team on the show is going to get a form of payback. So like Stan Edgar is going to get payback against Homelander by bringing up Soldier Boy. The boys themselves are also going to try and get more payback against Homelander. Homelander himself is going to try to get payback against the boys for what they did to him. And Victoria Newman is also attempting to get a form of payback, and it's part of her whole secret plan. They said that that's actually going to be the largest part of Season 3. Like most of Season 3 will focus on what's really going on with Victoria Newman and what her big secret plan is going to be. So you've probably seen these little mini tie-in episodes that they've been releasing for The Boys Season 3. They're like this mini tie-in content based on a fake in-universe Fox News parody show controlled by Vought. Like it's Vought News Network. Vought owns the TV network, so the news on the station is just propaganda for the company. But in this 7th and final episode where they released the Boys Season 3 teaser trailer, they also released a clip with an in-universe interview with Huey about what he and Victoria Newman had been doing since the end of Season 2.
To answer your question, the FBSA doesn't hate superheroes. Far from it, actually. We're actually partnering with...
Then why are you and Victoria Newman using the FBSA to run a sham witch hunt against them?
All we're doing is holding superheroes accountable for their actions. And since the FBSA began, super-related crimes and collateral damage have seen a significant decrease. If you look at the data...
Victoria Newman is using that new authority that she's been given to go around arresting evil supers or just any superhero who breaks the law. But remember, she herself is a superhero who murdered Alistair brutally to keep him from causing problems for her down the road. And it seems like none of the boys themselves or the Seven know that she's a super. But the only way to become a super in the universe of the boys is to get Compound V, and the only place to get that is from Vought. So there is probably a connection between Victoria Newman and Vought that I'll talk about in a second, but she is playing a comic book character. She's a version of Vic the Veep, and in the comics, he was a man and the former CEO of Vought before Stan Edgar. He left the company to become vice president of the United States. And it was all part of Vought, the company's true goal, to control the White House, control the president, control the government. Early theory is that Victoria Newman is working with Stan Edgar as part of a secret plan to get Vought inside the White House. There was a reference to this in the opening scene from Season 2, Episode 1, when Stan Edgar is having a meeting with Jim Beaver's character, another supernatural actor like Jensen Ackles, where he implies that he wants to be giving the president orders. My early theory is that Victoria Newman is totally a Vought plant, and she's trying to make herself look good enough in the public, in the government, so that she'll become popular enough to get voted into office, into the White House, as either a vice president or president. But again, it's all probably just part of a larger four-dimensional chess game that Stan Edgar is playing.
For too long, members of the superhuman community have played by their own rules. Through a joint effort with Vought International, we'll work together to see that heroes who engage in over-aggressive, rogue conduct and unlawful activities are held accountable to the very same laws that they claim to uphold.
Cannot wait till Huey finds out that his boss is exactly the thing that he was trying to run away from. The whole reason why he left the boys' team at the end of Season 2 was because he just couldn't handle all the shady stuff they were doing. And off he runs to Victoria Newman, who turns out is like the new most shady character on the show. Remember all the people in the courthouse? She killed all those people while she was sitting there. She was the one that was popping all those heads. But currently the boys' team are still doing the same old, trying to keep Homelander in check with Maeve's ultimatum and take down the other worst superheroes. Like, they're not just after the Seven and Homelander and Vought, they take out as many terrible superheroes as possible. Ryan is still in the custody of the Black Ops government group run by Mallory. If you've read the comics, my early theory is that the show runs for like 5 or 6 seasons. They'll give Ryan a version of the big Black Noir versus Homelander ending scene. Like, eventually it will be Ryan versus Homelander, like Superboy versus evil Superman. Very Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, if you want to make a Star Wars reference. They have released the full episode schedule. They're dropping the first 3 episodes on the first day, just like they did for Season 2, and then 1 per week after that. And they really want you to remember that Episode 6 is going to be the Hero-gasm. That's basically like the worst version of a Florida spring break vacation trip, but for superheroes. Vought's fake cover story is that it's like a superhero workshop retreat, but they really just all go there to do a bunch of drugs and have sex with anything that moves. The other brand new superhero characters they're doing in Season 3 from the comics are Crimson Countess, played by Laurie Holden, another Walking Dead actress. She's a parody of Scarlet Witch, if you couldn't tell. Supersonic is another speedster who's kind of like a version of Kid Flash. In universe, he was Starlight's high school boyfriend, so he's just going to come back and cause trouble for Huey and Starlight. There's a new character called Blue Hawk that they're doing who is not from the comics, and then there's a character called Gunpowder they're doing who's actually meant to be a parody of Judge Dredd. So like I said, not all the characters are DC or Marvel parodies. There might be a couple other new characters that they haven't announced yet in the later episodes, but the only other new big superhero team that they might introduce beyond Payback and the Seven is the G-Men. And the G-Men are like another Vought-sponsored team meant to be an evil version of the X-Men. But on the show, they might just make them a new team who's working for Victoria Newman at her agency. Like, she probably has other superheroes who are good on her payroll. But remember again, Vought controls all superheroes, so anybody who's working for Victoria Newman is actually secretly working for Vought. If you did spot any other Easter eggs in the teaser trailer that I didn't talk about in the video, or if you have any questions about Season 3, just write them below in the comments. I will be doing videos for all the episodes just like Season 2, and I will add a link for all my Season 2 videos in the description below. Everyone, click here for that first look at Rune King Thor in Thor Love and Thunder, and click here for my new Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.